Hello, all of my YouTube friends, viewers, and subscribers alike. Are you still playing racing games with a gamepad? Well, that's okay. I'm not going to judge you. But for me personally, I like playing a game called Project Cars, and every once in a while I'd fire up the game and play a couple of minutes, an half an hour, 45 minutes, and I got bored. The gamepad wasn't very immersive. That's when somebody, a friend, gave me this. Now, this is for an Xbox, but it does work on PC once I figured that out. Launched Project Cars 3, and I was having a blast. I was playing for hours. And then, the gears start working out, and I'm like, what other games could I play? Obviously, this is not the setup to be playing iRacing, so I wanted something that I could play online, offline. I tried Sport, I tried Race Room, and a lot of people were talking about Le Mans Ultimate. After seeing a couple of videos, I decided to take the plunge. Now, it didn't take too long that I was like, I'm really enjoying this game, but I want something more. That's when I decided to take the plunge into the direct drive ecosystem and just started off with the R3 from the Moza. So like everybody else, I unboxed it, put it all together, and I fired up Project Cars 3. Now I basically barely downloaded the pit house, saw a bunch of settings, didn't know what they didn't do anything, just fired up the game, and everything worked seamlessly, and I was having a blast. Everything felt good, felt nice. It was just plug and play, easy to go. So an hour after playing that, I decided, okay, time to get into the real stuff here. I bought this for Le Mans Ultimate. Let's try it out. So I fired a Le Mans Ultimate, and I was scratching my head. Like, what in the world is going on? Why can I not get this to work? Similar to the experience I just had in Project Cars. So, time to use Google. So, one of the first websites I came across was obviously Coach Dave's Academy. Since they are in the game and they've had really good setups for me to begin tinkering with the cars within the game, I trusted this website. So I was looking at the entry level settings and pretty much went down the list here. Had all of this pretty much on par with what they were saying. But Google also offered other websites to have a look at. This one from Sim Racing Setups. And I went down the list here and pretty much did everything as it's here. And still in the game, I was getting very, very weird reaction. So let me come back to this camera so I can kind of explain what was going on. At the dead center at 0 degrees, everything is fine. I'm driving straight. As soon as I'm going 1 or +1 or -1 degrees, then the car just violently, max torque, wants to go 90 degrees right or 90 degrees left. And I'm having to fight the wheel to try to even go straight. So as you're turning, it kind of facilitates the turning, but it's easy to overturn the car and spin when you come out of the curve because it's really an effort to get it back to dead center. And from there on, I tried so many things. I tried playing with settings. Obviously, they say like 900 degrees. Well, 900 degrees is a lot of turning. And okay, it might be good for a truck driver, but for GT cars, it wasn't ideal. And when I went from 900 degrees to 540, the problem in the dead center was getting even worse. Now, that other wheel did 180 degrees. So I even tried 360 and oh my God, I was pulling out my hair, of which I don't have any. So the only way for me to deal with this was to bring down the force feedback. I was having it around 25 to 30%. That's as much as I could deal with constantly fighting the wheel. Now, all of these sites can't be wrong, right? Since everybody seems to be agreeing, and I was looking up YouTube videos, and who is it? Gamer Muscle Racing, somebody also mentioned that these were the ideal settings. And yet I was having a crappy time, so you start looking in Reddit, and then everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people complaining about the same issue. And since they can't be wrong, right? I figured I'm gonna try to make it as enjoyable as possible. So I got this wheel, the KS from Moza, also because it was wider. So I figured, hey, you know what? It'll be easier to keep it more stable. But the issue was still there, and slowly but surely it was aggravating me because even though it's not a strong base, well, it's strong enough, plenty strong for me, honestly. Once you got it dialed in right. So now that we're going to get to the juicy part that everybody is here for, the settings, the R3 settings for Le Mans Ultimate. But before I get into a couple of details here, I just want to mention something. In my real car, when I'm driving, if I'm at a stop and I, turn the steering wheel a little bit and I slowly start accelerating or going backwards, the natural behavior of the steering wheel wants to straighten itself out. In contrast to what it was doing in Le Mans Ultimate, it wanted to go completely right or completely left, no matter what I did. As soon as I gave it gas, the faster I would go, the more it would want to turn. So on one hand, it didn't feel natural, but it was also like contradictory to what my real life experience with a steering wheel is. So all of these websites can't be wrong. And if you're enjoying your wheel with these settings, fine by me, that's okay. But if you're like me and you're like, this is not right, this does not feel natural, this does not feel good, please give my settings a try. It's a game changer. With the previous, everybody else's settings, I was actually 10 seconds slower than on the wheel that I have no force feedback. And now with these new settings, I'm actually pretty much on par and slowly getting better lap per lap. So let's get into it. So as everybody says, I kept it here at 900 degrees. In Le Mans Ultimate, when you calibrate it, I turn the wheel to 540 to calibrate the maximum rotation of the wheel. I do that in game, but here in the pit house, I keep it at 900. Synchronous, I've kept it on and off, and it didn't seem to change anything for me. Force feedback intensity, 100. Maximum torque, 100. Inertia, I kept it on the KS wheel. Maximum wheel speed, it's at 50%. Here's where things get a little bit different. I gave it a little bit of natural friction and natural inertia. 50% and 300%. Wheel spring, I have it at 50%. They added recently the gear shift vibration that I maxed that out. That's fun. Game spring, 50%. Game dampening, 10%. Game inertia, 50%. And I also changed the temperature control strategy to radical. I don't know if I could switch it back to conservative, but with the old settings, after playing an hour, the surge protection would pop in, or the temperature protection would pop in, and then cut the feedback by 50%. I was already at 25%, and somehow that overheats my base. It didn't make any sense, but the way that I see it is that around the dead center, it was delivering peak torque constantly, one way or another. It's only when I was going to the extremities that I would notice that I was going like at 25%. If I put it at 100%, I was struggling the entire time because it just did not want to go dead center. So anyways, these settings here, and I've been playing as is. I played like 6 hours straight yesterday and did not have one surge happening to me, or surge protection, or surge temperature protection cut in. My equalizer, it looks kind of like this. Um, yeah, that you can customize it to your liking. I don't really like feeling all that much ABS in my steering wheel, but we have to kind of live with that in Le Mans Ultimate. My curve is linear. Okay, so now in the Le Mans Ultimate, here's one big detail that is going to be very important. Before we get to that, I'll just show you the general settings here. I do use steering wheel range from vehicle, use steering maximum rotation from the driver. Both of these are on. Like I said, because the game or the settings in the pit house are at 900 degrees, but in a GT car you're using more around the 540 degrees range, I manually calibrate it and set my maximum rotation this way. I don't go to the maximum rotations. And here we get to one of the most important details. Force feedback is on. Invert force feedback. That made such a huge difference for me because now it feels natural. The car wants to center itself, and I'm constantly feeling the road, feeling the car, feeling the tires. I'm feeling everything. As soon as I'm moving out, it kind of wants to bring it back to center. So I have to use my elbows to actually start turning the car, which feels natural. The car wants to naturally go straight, and you're trying to turn it into a corner, turn it into the other corner. You come out of the corner, the car wants to straighten itself out. And I'm running at 90% here. And like I said, for 6 hours straight yesterday, the surge protection, nothing kicked in. I was having a blast. So folks, like I said initially, there's like no wrong way and no right way, but I think that everybody's been getting it wrong and that my settings are the true good ones. But basically what I'm trying to say is don't be afraid to try something different than from what all the mainstream media are telling you. Find a solution that you're enjoying and that you like. Hopefully this video helps you out. If it did, leave me a comment down below. It would be greatly appreciated. If you disagree with everything I said, leave a comment too and we can debate that as well. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video, of which might be a review of this wheel.